Welcome back to a warm embrace, a soft place for the hard parts of being human. Today we're talking about procrastination, not as a flaw, not as laziness, but as a signal, because procrastination is rarely about not caring. More often, it's about caring deeply and not quite knowing how to hold everything that comes with that. So if you've ever wanted to do something, felt excited about it, and then found yourself avoiding it instead, you're not broken. You're human. And today, we're going to soften that together. Procrastination isn't a lack of motivation. It's often protection in disguise. I used to get really excited about starting new things. Big ideas, clear visions, that feeling of this could be something. And at the beginning, everything felt possible. But then reality would arrive. Progress would feel slower than I imagined. The outcome wouldn't match the picture I had in my head. And somewhere between the excitement and the effort, I'd feel deflated, disconnected, almost disappointed before anything had even failed. So I'd stop. Not because I didn't care, but because continuing meant facing the gap between what I hoped for and what was actually happening. Sometimes procrastination begins when reality threatens the fantasy. Sometimes we procrastinate because we're afraid. Afraid it won't be perfect. Afraid it won't land the way we'd hoped. Afraid we won't be able to do it justice. Afraid we'll be seen trying and not quite succeeding. And sometimes, staying in the idea feels safer than risking the outcome. Because as long as it's unfinished, it's still full of potential. It's still unjudged. It's still untouched. Procrastination can be a way of preserving hope, even when it feels like avoidance. There's a strange comfort in uncertainty. When something is unfinished, it hasn't disappointed anyone yet. It hasn't proven anything about us yet. For some of us, especially if we've learned to tie our worth to outcomes, uncertainty can feel safer than knowing. Safer than finding out whether we're good enough, whether it worked, whether we were capable all along. So we pause, we delay, we circle, not because we're lazy, but because we're protecting something tender. For ADHD minds especially, procrastination can be layered. Staying focused on one thing for a long stretch of time can feel near impossible. Not because of a lack of care, but because attention works differently. Low dopamine, emotional regulation challenges, mental fatigue. When a task feels boring, overwhelming, or emotionally loaded, the brain looks for relief, especially when more stimulating options are nearby. Scrolling, switching tasks, starting something new. Procrastination can become a coping mechanism, a way to regulate discomfort when the task itself feels like too much. Sometimes it's not resistance, it's capacity. Sometimes procrastination happens because we don't know where to start. The task feels enormous, unclear, maybe even unstructured. And if no one ever taught you how to break things into smaller, gentler steps, avoidance can feel easier than confusion. Not starting doesn't mean you don't want to. It can mean you don't have a path yet. And that's not a character flaw. It's a skill gap. One that many of us were never supported with. Let's pause here for a moment. Think about something you've been putting off. Not with judgment, just curiosity. What do you notice underneath the procrastination? Is it a fear of getting it wrong? Fear of disappointment? Fear of not finishing? Does the task feel too big, too vague, or too emotionally loaded? And if someone you loved felt this way, what would you tell them? Now take a breath and offer that same understanding to yourself. Starting is often easy because it's new, it's fresh, full of energy. Finishing, on the other hand, requires consistency, requires patience, capacity. And capacity isn't constant. There are seasons where we have the energy to follow through, and seasons where we don't. Procrastination doesn't always mean you've failed. Sometimes it means your system is tired, and you're trying to force progress without enough support. This is where support systems matter. Gentle accountability, shared momentum, someone reminding you that you don't have to do it all alone. Forward movement doesn't have to be solitary. Procrastination is not proof that you're lazy. It's information. It tells you something about your fear, your capacity, your nervous system, even your needs. Instead of asking, "What's wrong with me?" you might try asking, "What am I avoiding? And why?" Not to push yourself harder, but to understand yourself better. Because when you meet procrastination with compassion, it loosens its grip. Procrastination isn't the absence of effort. It's often a sign that something inside you needs care. Thank you for listening to A Warm Embrace. Take what lands, leave what doesn't, and be kind to yourself today. I'll see you next week.